Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive It Out. My name is Adam, and today I have with me the brand new Landcruiser from Toyota. And we are gonna go in depth on this thing, talk about all the exterior features, the interior features, and what makes it so good off-road and on-road. This is gonna be a fun one, guys. Let's go. All right, guys, let's go over the exterior design first. Now, as you can see, they have made this thing look very, very tough. I'm loving this big boxy shape, and obviously this two-tone paint job is doing it a lot of favors as well. This is called a smoky blue, and in contrast with that roof and the black accents, you get your mirrors and your door handles, this is looking really sharp. Now they have taken that two-tone theme onto the interior to kind of round this whole thing out, but that is really something that you can tell is a design theme on this all the way around. Now here at the front, you have this awesome LED lighting and this Toyota printed right here on the front. No Toyota logos on the exterior of this vehicle. It's just Toyota spelled out. But what you'll really notice up here is the bumper is segmented out to all these individual pieces, right? That's because this is an off-road machine, right? If you're in the woods or you're out on trail or you're doing something off-road and you accidentally bump or touch something, right? You don't want to mess up the whole front bumper at one time just because you touch something over here. What it's going to allow you to do is there's a little bit of grace in between your pieces here, right? And if you do bang something, maybe you're only going to have to replace one small segment of it. All right, guys, let's go down the side here. The first thing that you're going to notice is this cladding here, right? And as opposed to the GX, which is the sister vehicle to this, the Lexus GX 550, where here in the United States, you're gonna get that body color molding, right? You're not gonna get that here on the Landcruiser, but this is good, durable stuff. It's aerodynamic. It gives this thing this tough look, right? So I actually don't mind it. I think it's, again, a great contrast with the color of this vehicle. Color choice can be so key when getting a vehicle, and this one is spec'd just about right. I'm not sure you can do a whole lot better, but that's subjective. So here we go. Again, I've got the black on the door handles, which is an interesting choice because you've got gloss black, right? You've got this dark kind of charcoal gray color here. You've got this really light gray, almost white here on the roof. You've got the blue here, and you've got a different shade here on the wheels. And there's a whole lot of colors working together here, and that is really hard to do and make it look sharp. But they've done it here. There's no worries on that here. Everyone that I have showed this vehicle to has said how much they like the way that it looks. And I've gotten comments on it elsewhere too that were unprompted. And so I really think that they've done a nice job here. Now, I love the line right here below the belt line of the car. It comes from the front nose all the way back, right? It's really good looking. It kind of sets off the side of this vehicle. I love how it looks like the windows here in the back kind of flow together, and you got these rays here in the body, and it just looks really sharp. It definitely just screams off-roader, right? Like this thing is for adventure, for going and kind of doing things that are out of the ordinary, right? I really, really like that. All right, everyone, let's talk about things here at the back. Again, the theme is true all the way back here. You just have Toyota written right here in the middle. No Toyota logos, right? I actually really like the black badging. They haven't done that here. The iForce Max is chrome. I obviously think it would look better in black to go with the rest of everything, but I understand that they're wanting to try and highlight that. So again, we have the bumper here, nothing body color down here, right? You do have this giant cover here for where the hitch is. It's an interesting design choice. It'd be interesting to know how they landed on that, but that's where that is. No big deal. To me, that doesn't really bother me, but things are looking really good back here. But the best part really is this top overhang right here, this lid that I'm calling it, kind of over the back window, and it kind of finishes off the design here, the back of the vehicle. And again, surprisingly, they're sneaking in gloss black here, this trim piece right here below the roof line on both sides, and I actually think it works. It looks really, really sharp. So now let's move into the interior and talk about what things look like in there. All right, everyone, I specifically want to talk about the use of materials in here. And this is something that I really like because, again, this is not only a luxury vehicle, this is not only an off-roader, it's in between. And I've done a really good job of balancing things out in here, just like they have with the driving experience. So in here, you get stuff that looks really nice. It feels really nice when you touch it, but it is also durable. And I appreciate that. They've given you a really good looking two-tone interior. You've got these brown leather seats with the black elsewhere in the interior, and you've got this little bit of trim, this kind of brushed aluminum look, kind of sporadically throughout, along with just very subtle touches of gloss black, and then some unique materials and colors here on the center console. It is tough to kind of use tons of different materials and colors and bring them all together and make them look good and cohesive. A lot of work goes into that, and I appreciate what they've done here. Really what I care about here is the balance, not only visually, but the balance here as far as like care and how the materials will function in the real world. If you go off-road in this thing, if you get muddy, if you get dirty like we did in this thing, if you start to really get down and dirty with this vehicle, it's going to be easy to clean, but it still looks nice. And I really appreciate that. I like the switch gear in here. I like the setup. They've given me real knobs and buttons in here more than they have in the GX550. I appreciate that. Between all of Toyota's new SUV and truck lineup across the board, this is my favorite interior personally, with one exception. There's just a little bit too much going on the steering wheel. You know, if you watch the channel, I appreciate good functionality of the steering wheel buttons, but there's just so much here. I don't know if it's just the way that they've laid it out. Really bulky, a lot to think about here. You know, it's one of the first vehicles I've been in a while where the volume control for the sound system is on the opposite side of the steering wheel as the switch function, like to change tracks on your music or what you're listening to. Normally those things kind of share a side, and so that's kind of unique in here. But you have a lot of the typical functions here. You have a voice button and, you know, call. You have menu functions here. You can run through the menu on the screen on the gauges. But let's talk about that now. Digital gauges are kind of just the thing these days, just about everywhere that you look. Let me go ahead and say that Toyota has taken the liberty of putting so much stuff on the digital gauge cluster. There is a lot going on, and even after driving this for quite a few days, I still glance down and I'm having trouble instantly kind of finding what I'm looking for because there's just so much going on there. And so that is just something that kind of makes me long for really good analog gauges. I kind of miss those when I'm in some vehicles. Digital screens are great. I get they're good for customization. I get they're good for, you know, you change modes and what you're doing and the screen changes, and that's all really cool. But also sometimes information can kind of get washed out in the middle there. But moving over to the screen here in the middle for your infotainment, good size screen, honestly not too big, not too small. Very good and easy and clear to read things going on here, especially when I am in Android Auto. And you do have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay in here. They're really thinking about the user here. You do have a wireless charger here in the middle as well. Loving the real shift lever. This is an off-road vehicle. This is meant for getting down to business. I want to feel what the vehicle's doing. Having a real shifter is part of that going into my gears. Now, it's been a while since I've been in something without paddle shifters. There's no paddle shifters on the steering wheel here, but that doesn't matter. We don't need those here. What we have is a lot of different buttons and functionality for your drive modes, specifically when you're off-road. Now, this thing is in four-wheel high all the time. That kind of makes it unique, and I don't mind that. It gives you some real confidence. It can give you a lot of real confidence when you're driving, especially in bad conditions on the road. But right here is your switch to switch it to four-wheel low. But I specifically really want to focus on the fact that they've done an excellent job with the design on the switchgear here for your climate control, your heated and cooled seats, the heated steering wheel. Really like that, as opposed to the GX550, which has more touchscreen involved in here. And I don't like that quite so much as this. But you got a good sunroof. I'm enjoying that. Now again, Toyota Safety Sense. There's so much going on here. There's lots of camera going on. There's multiple cameras up here, and the rearview mirror, there's just so much bulk behind it, taking up so much real estate in the windshield. But that is modern cars for you. That is pretty wild. But this one, you do get a dash cam facing forward as well. But even with the bulk of here, they've done a good job with clean design. I definitely like the circle vents over here, the functionality of them. Again, that's where you'll find some of that gloss black. And you've got the nice 14 speaker JBL sound system in here, your tweeters up here on the A-pillar. Got good grab handles, good tough material. Really appreciate that. But they've carried the brown up here on the center console and over here onto the doors, looking really good. I enjoy this seat. I've spent a lot of time in the seat. It's very comfortable. My passengers have had a great time riding here. They're very comfortable. While we're talking about passengers, let's go ahead and talk about things in the second row. All right, everyone, we're here in the second row, and I have to tell you that I have pretty good room back here. I'm sitting behind my driving position, so this is what it would be like to sit behind me, and I'm feeling like I have a decent amount of space, especially given the off-road capability of this vehicle. You know, you're going to sit up higher. There's a lot going on under the floor of this vehicle mechanically, and they've done a good job of making sure that you've got amenities back here and some decent space. You could totally sit a third person here in the middle if you need to, and it is going to be a little cramped, but not near as cramped as a lot of other 5-seat SUVs that you can get out there. Now, one of the things I will say that I definitely like is my vent control up here. Having these up high is really valuable. Get that on your face, on your upper body really quick, as opposed to just having vents down here behind the center console. And a lot of us, I prefer to have them up here if I can have them. That's something you'll find in some off-road SUVs. It's something you'll find in like minivans, things like that, but it can be hard to find in your everyday 5-seat SUV. But my climate controls here are good. They're easy to figure out. I enjoy that. You have good power outlets here, so the passengers are doing well back here. Obviously, this folds down to give you some cup holders, but they've done a nice job bringing the good materials that we know of from the front also here into the back seat. And I like that they've given you your tweeter here on the door. You've got that good brushed aluminum door handle contrasting with the black and the brown here on the door as well. So I'm definitely liking things here in the second row. My kids have absolutely enjoyed it. They feel like they can see the whole world from up here. But before we finish up here on the interior, let's check things out back in the cargo area. All right, guys, you want to know what's the best? This is the best. Pop-up rear windows. Got your button right here. Pull it up. That's awesome. That can be so valuable when you're hauling things. I've had vehicles with a pop-up window in the back before, and I cannot tell you how many times that helped me fit something in here that I otherwise couldn't have. But also, it's great for access, right? So if you want to get in here, get things in and out without spilling things down on the floor, this is excellent. Now, we always want to be careful as we shut that back window, right? Also, you can bring up the whole thing here. And this is where I want to mention, guys, if you don't know, this is a global vehicle, all right? I want you to remember that this platform for Toyota is put in vehicles all over the world. And so you're going to see some things back here that are going to be kind of maybe unique to this one here in the United States. First of all, the thing you may notice right away is this load floor is a little bit higher because your hybrid battery's under there. So you're going to have to lift things a little bit higher, and that's just part of what comes with the territory. But some other unique things back here are, you have good space, right? Obviously, we have our first aid kit right here. That's cool. But you may notice there are cup holders here, right? Obviously, this platform is made to be able to have a third row in it in some forms, especially in other places around the globe. Here in the United States, we just get it as a 5-seater, but hey, we've still got cup holders back here. So I don't know, you might be able to find a use for those. All right, everyone, we have really talked our way around this vehicle, but I really want to get in and drive it. Now, again, we took this thing off-road 2 weeks ago in Wisconsin. Check out that video. We got really messy doing that, but today we're going to go on-road and kind of talk about what it's like to drive. So remember, you got a 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder in here, this iForce Max hybrid setup. So let's get out, let's get behind the wheel, and let's see what it's like to drive. Here we go. All right, everyone, let's talk about the road manners of this Land Cruiser. So I spent quite a bit of time with it off-road. We know that it's a monster off-road, but now we're on the street. And this is unique because it's not often you find something that is this capable off-road that is also this compliant on-road. You're still in a truck, and I have to say that this high commanding seating position is really excellent. I enjoy my view of the road and the scenery around me. And oftentimes when you get a vehicle that's body on frame, you don't count on really good road manners. And of course, this is not a sports car. It drives like a truck, but a pretty nice riding truck. I've actually quite enjoyed it. Now, the steering ratio on this thing makes sense when you're on the street, and then you have that crazy awesome turning radius, which is great off-road. But the way that they put this together, the way they fit this together, it's obviously a slow steering rack, but on road I'm okay. You know, you have 2 turns to lock to the left, and then you have 2 turns from center to lock to the right. So there's quite a bit of steering going on in here, but that's what you would expect from a 4x4 monster, right? Now, living with this day to day could actually be pretty awesome. Now, again, this is larger, so if you're not used to driving something this big, this is going to be different to drive and to park. I currently own smaller vehicles, and I've owned mostly smaller vehicles in my history. I do have a half-ton truck in my past, so, you know, and I've driven a lot of big things, whether at work or family members or friends' vehicles, and you've seen us drive some pretty big stuff here on the channel. So once you kind of get used to it, it's all good. Something that really helps here, though, is this thing has a crazy 360 camera. I guess I say crazy because it actually gives you that view where, like, on the camera your vehicle is clear, so it's also showing you and giving you a view of what's underneath your vehicle. That's really valuable when you're off-road, right? And you're trying to watch what all 4 tires are doing. But this is not something that just works when you're backing up, but it also works whenever you get close to someone, perhaps at an intersection. So I'm sitting at a light right now, and this camera has come up. It actually says check surroundings for safety on the bottom of the screen, and what it does is it lights up my view to the front of the vehicle on one side of the screen, and it lights up the 360 view, the aerial view, on my left side of the screen. And it's just wanting you to continue to pay attention to what's going on around you. But that's actually handy in something this large, especially when you're in tight spaces in a parking lot. Now, I'm coming to a stop at an intersection. I've got to say, this thing is braking for me. So this thing has 3rd generation of Toyota safety sense, right? And I tell you what, there's a lot going on in here. I got in this thing for the first time, started to drive it, and you instantly notice how aware the vehicle's systems are of what you're doing, sometimes overly aware. And yes, you can get into the menu here and you can turn some things off, but in my experience, it makes you do that every single time. So it's not like you can turn most things you can't turn off and have them just be off throughout your time driving the vehicle, whether you're shutting it off and coming back to it or not. A lot of things automatically default to on, in my experience, every time you start up and get in the vehicle. So you've got to go into the menu, turn those things off that you don't want. Now, it will beep at me a lot. It's watching my eyes. I've got this thing here above the steering wheel that is keeping an eye on how well I'm keeping an eye on what's going on around me. Of course, you have lane keep assist, but you know, anytime basically that you get close to some other vehicle or some other thing, or you come up on a street sign that's asking you to stop or something like that, the car instantly starts doing things for you. And I get over that pretty quickly. I understand that it can be really valuable, and hey, we're all human, and that could save any of our butts at any given time, right? We've all had those moments where we've kind of overlooked something while we're driving and not paying attention like we should be. But where it gets annoying is when you are paying attention. So for instance, if the vehicle in front of you is slowing down, you know, a little bit, you know that the vehicle senses that, and the vehicle wants to start slowing down for you. But remember, systems can only react, right? They can't anticipate like we humans can. So if I see that, yes, a vehicle in front of me is slowing down a little bit because they're about to go over a railroad track, I know and I can see that they're about over that road track and they're about to accelerate again. So I'm okay if I am getting a little bit closer to them safely, still a safe distance, but I'm okay if I'm still getting a little bit closer to them because I know that they're about to accelerate away and I can maintain my speed. The Land Cruiser doesn't know that. The vehicle does not anticipate that that person is about to hit the right pedal some more and increase their speed. All they sense is that the slowdown is happening in front of you, so it reacts and starts to slow the vehicle down. This definitely gets overbearing at times, and it's not my favorite thing. But again, there are also times where it's good. We live in this space right now where electronics, safety systems, all of the smart things that our vehicles are doing, it's all very advanced, but it still can't fully take over, fully drive for us. So we're in this weird middle ground where two things are trying to coexist at once. You have a driver who is hopefully fully capable of operating the vehicle, but you also have a vehicle who's trying to do some things, and those things kind of clash and butt heads a lot. And it's really easy to quickly get to a place where you're just like, all right, I want one or the other. I want this thing to just do everything, or I want to just be in control and drive this thing. And that's a tough place to be in. So manufacturers are trying to find a balance in there of how to design these vehicles and their functions so that they aid the driver and not disrupt the driving experience. And that's a really tough place to be. No one's doing it perfect by any means. So what I will say about the Toyota Safety Sense is it's excellent at saving your hide. But while it is good at that, it is pretty intrusive. So I'm getting used to it. I'm starting to expect and anticipate what it's going to do. I've been in this car for 5-6 days now, and you learn it, you get used to some things. Anyway, let's talk about the fact that maybe you're choosing the Land Cruiser. You probably had thoughts about a 4Runner. You probably had thoughts about a GX 550 Lexus. This is interesting. These vehicles kind of run into each other, overlap each other in price, right? Depending on what you're doing with trim levels, right? You can get a 4Runner up into Land Cruiser land, and you can get a Land Cruiser up into GX 550 land, and they cross over. So what would make you choose the Land Cruiser? Because all of them, honestly, are great choices for different reasons. I fully like all three vehicles, but here in America, what is going to help you choose between these three? I think this is where you really want to highlight that, you know what? The Land Cruiser is kind of the middle ground as far as like luxuries and niceties and ride and comfort and all those things, and it's sweet. It's a sweet spot. If you want to go up even further in luxury than this, you jump to the Lexus, right? You jump to the GX 550. That's what that vehicle is for. Here in the United States, we have this unique kind of tier system of Toyota and Lexus vehicles. This is a great balance of having good luxuries in here, good amenities in here, and having good materials, but the materials also feel tough and rugged, right? It's a really good balance. I'm really loving this interior. It's nice. You can totally take this thing on date night out on the town, but then if you get off-road and muddy like we did in this 2 weeks ago, you get in here and you're getting mud on stuff, it's okay. It's still gonna all wipe clean okay, right? You don't worry about getting down and dirty with this vehicle. So I love the middle ground that this Land Cruiser falls in from an amenities standpoint. It's really right on the money for me. All right, y'all, now let's talk about powertrain, all right? Here in the United States, you only have one powertrain option, and that is the iForce Max powertrain. The 4-cylinder with the hybrid, that's it. That's what you're gonna get here. So at first reaction, some people are like, wait, Land Cruiser, this new Land Cruiser, wait, no 6 or 8 cylinder, you know, what's the deal with that? 4-cylinder only. And again, if you want more cylinders, you've got to go up to the GX 550. So here's what I will tell you. The torque is all there. Don't worry about that. This vehicle did excellent off-road. We were so impressed with this vehicle when we were on that really muddy, wet, and rainy course up in Wisconsin. It was truly awesome. This vehicle performed well. Might I add, it performed great even though it doesn't have the most off-roady tires on it. These are all-terrain tires that come on this vehicle, but they're not the most big and bad tires. Honestly, many people who buy this vehicle, tires are going to be one of the things that they upgrade first. I think that's great. Upgrade the tires on this thing. It would be awesome. We were test driving lots of vehicles off-road that day, and many of them were outfitted with more capable tires than what is currently on this LandCruiser, but this thing still impressed. Check out that video, all through the mud, all through the muck, over a lot of rough stuff. They had a trail set up or lots of rocks going over this stuff. This thing just didn't care, and it was wet and slippery. Sometimes you get up on a rock and you feel like your back end especially start sliding to the left or right because that rock is slippery, and that can get scary because that off-road course we were in was tight, really tight wooded trail, and trees really close to your fenders, and you kind of can get nervous if you're not paying attention. And these tires did really great. I was impressed with this. I say all of that to say that the powertrain in here is very capable, and you're not going to want for power, you're not going to want for torque. It's here, it's good. As far as interacting with the powertrain, there's a little bit left to be desired, and you know, it's hard to find a hybrid where that's not the case, but the way that the engine and the transmission communicate with each other can sometimes be a little wonky, but really only if you're trying to really hustle the vehicle. Now, this vehicle obviously is not meant to be a race car on the curves, right? We've got some great footage of it here driving on the curves, but that's not its thing. That's not its strength, right? It doesn't shine the most when you're trying to hustle it. And if you do try to hustle it, that engine and that transmission are going to be working together. Now, once everything is working together and you get going, right, it finds the gear at once, and then it's really good, and you're in that power band, and it's great. You got an 8-speed automatic transmission here, but sometimes the vehicle again is trying to figure out what you want to do, and it's not as great at anticipating what you want to do as it could be. But this honestly is just part of having a vehicle that's built for this purpose of being off-road. So if you're driving around town like I am now, and you're going average speeds and you've got a little bit of stop and go, it's okay. You're gonna feel it, you're gonna hear it, and you're gonna feel it kind of working itself out. You know, it's just something that you need to get used to. The vehicle is sorting out what it wants to do. Anytime you're giving this thing inputs, it thinks a little bit. I found multiple times that when I really put my foot down, sometimes it feels like the vehicle shifts twice. Like I'll go instantly from one pedal position to a new pedal position that's much more aggressive. I'm not doing anything gradual, it's just very quick, and you'll feel it like shift. And I don't know sometimes if that is the hybrid system stepping in to do its thing, give you that torque from the electric side, and then adding in whatever the engine is doing, or if it's actually shifting twice. Sometimes it's hard to tell. But these are the things you're only going to think about trying to hustle the vehicle. All right, everyone, as we wrap things up here on this brand new Toyota LandCruiser, I really want to tell you thanks for watching. I've enjoyed this in-depth review very much, and I've got to spend a lot of good time in this vehicle. It was definitely fun going off-road, but on-road, living with this thing day to day has been really great too, as I really think this is going to be great for not only the whole family, but for you as a driver. And you know, that's really what we care about here at Drive It Out, is what a vehicle is like behind the wheel. All right, guys, you've found us here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. This is one of our in-depth reviews, right? I love doing our in-depth reviews and really getting down to the details on a vehicle, but we also do a lot of other types of reviews with vehicles. We do walk-around reviews at some of the biggest auto shows around. We've got so many vehicles that we've put on camera at auto shows, and those are really fun And we also do car comparisons. Those have been some of my favorites. Those are big, kind of big videos. They're a big undertaking, but those are a lot of fun. We have those, look for those. We also do like driving adventures. We have driving pursuits, from road trips to professional driver training, like performance driver training. Speaking of Toyota, I went to the winter driving course in Colorado in Steamboat Springs that's put on by Bridgestone Tires and Toyota, a partnership between them, and that was really fun. So again, being in vehicles that are kind of all about the extraordinary is really what we're all about here at Drive It Out. So I hope this in-depth review has been helpful for you in your shopping or your decision-making process. Remember, get behind the wheel yourself and test drive things. That's what it's all about. Guys, this has been a really fun one. Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. Always remember, when in doubt, drive it out. Hey there, I'm excited that you've found Drive It Out. I've been doing this for over 5 years now, and it's been a blessing meeting and working alongside so many amazing people. It's been a lot of fun driving so many awesome vehicles. Whatever type of vehicle you are interested in, chances are we have a video for that. So if you'd like to subscribe and maybe even hit the notification bell, that would absolutely mean the world to me. If there's something you're looking for that you don't see, feel free to reach out in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. All right, I've closed things up. I'm going a little bit faster now. Maybe help you guys hear me. I just turned the air on and I'm reminded how much I love the switchgear in here, right? The switchgear is very cool. Now, you may know that in the Lexus GX 550, obviously a very similar vehicle, they have a different setup here in the center, and they've got your climate control in the Lexus that's mostly touch screen. And if you're familiar with me and the channel, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I really like when you can give me good buttons, switches, knobs, all those things, stuff I can reach to quickly, stuff I can reach to and memorize by feel, where I can continue to keep my eyes on the road and just reach down here and do it. And oftentimes people will say, oh, it can all be in a touchscreen, it's fine, just use voice command, you know, tell it, hey car, I want to be at 72 degrees in here, and it'll do it. Yeah, of course you can do that. If you want to quit talking to your passenger, that's pretty rude, right? No, just give me good, simple buttons and switches. I can continue talking to you, I can continue talking to my passengers, I can reach down here, I can hit things, I touch things, I can adjust things, and I don't have to quit talking to you, I don't have to quit looking at the road. So this is definitely something that I give props to here on the LandCruiser, and I like that a lot more than what they've gone with in the Lexus. While the Lexus is an amazing vehicle, this is just one particular thing where I give the win to the LandCruiser.